Good morning and welcome to the Oasis Center for Spiritual Living, where we come together as one, providing spiritual tools for daily living. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Reverend Tucker. I'm the senior minister here at the Oasis, and I'd like to introduce my team to you, well, God's team, that I have the privilege and honor to manage. First off is my little Faith. Faith was the firstborn in my congregation, and she's been my assistant her entire life. She used to come up on the podium and do announcements with me. I would sit her on the podium, and we would do announcements together. And as she grew, she got different functions in the church, and now she's 17 and my official assistant. She's going to be 18 soon. We're going to celebrate that. January, yeah. But anyway, Faith knows me better than I know myself most of the time. So if you say hello, good morning, hi, however you want to greet us, if we're in a facility, we can see who's out there, but this software doesn't allow us to do that. So if you say hello, good morning, or hi, however you want to greet us, it will be Faith that will answer you. But please know that she is answering for me. And I always look back later to see if there's any comments that I need to add, but I don't multitask really well when I'm speaking. It's very hard to keep on track with what I'm thinking and speaking if I'm trying to manage things on the back end. So Faith does that for us. Thank you. And she's also our soloist today. So we love having Faith. Thank you for being here, sweetie.
Thank you.
And then there is my partner in crime, the wise and powerful Oz. He was my first baby practitioner in my church, the first one that went all the way through his classes with me. And then he became my board president, and he was my board president for a really long time. And then he moved off to Florida, and he's now in Wisconsin for the summer. But because of the software, I'm able to have him back on my team. So I'm so thankful for that. He's going to be our practitioner of the day. He'll be praying us in and praying us out. And he's available at the end for our 1-minute miracle. So thank you for being here, Oz. Sure appreciate you. Hang on. As you can see, I still have a little bit of that cough. I'm going to get rid of it, though. I need to. I'm going to Vegas, and I don't want to be called off the casino floor and made to quarantine until my test results come back. So we're going to just get rid of this cold by tomorrow, right? All right. Today we're going going back to basics again. We're going to be talking about the thing itself. There's four chapters of the Science Mind textbook, the thing itself, the way it works, what it does, and how to use it. Today we're going to do the thing itself. And so let's see, what else do I need to say? Yes, we do music from Reverend Fairy Elaine Silver every week. And we do music from Karen Drucker every week. So I wanted to introduce that music too. We Are All One is Reverend Fairy Elaine Silver. And I Am So Blessed, which is a great meme at the end, is Karen Drucker. But we also, I think, are we doing Karen Drucker today, or are we doing Elaine Silver today?
Today is Elaine Silver.
Okay, cool. They have provided music for us to do on every Sunday. So it's great to have you here. It's great to have them providing that. So I know there's 1,000 things you could be doing on a Sunday morning, and we're blessed to have you here with us. And so, again, if you will say hi, hello, good morning, however you want to greet us. Also know that you can do a watch party by pressing that watch party button. It's a great way for people to know what kind of talks they can expect to receive, and you can talk amongst yourselves and not bother anybody. So it's a great way to enjoy church with your friends. All right. So I invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Allow the service to uplift and inspire you as we move into our centering song.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
The wonder and abundance of life, the wonder and abundance of God. The one thing that permeates all of creation, as we can perceive it with our limited senses, we see a world that functions perfectly and wonderfully and beautifully. Beautiful sights and smells and sounds, all moving through themselves, moving through their lives, and being upheld and maintained by this one power that we call God. It is within each of us beating our hearts, conducting 1 billion different cellular operations without our conscious awareness, and yet our conscious awareness can be made aware. And it is in that awareness right now that I consider not only life on this planet, but life on planets beyond, and into the tiniest subsets of the microscopic world and beyond into the atomic world, where you have electrons and protons and neutrons with intention, according to the quantum physicists. All of that expressing this one thing, the thing itself, which we call God. And I know that that presence is right here in each of us right now. And I know that it moves through our service, speaking the message, hearing the message, sharing the message, living the message that God is all there is. And for being part of that universal flow, I give great thanks, and I let it be so. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Oz. So he just did my sermon for me, so bye. No, just kidding. All right, so this next song is from Fairy Elaine Silver. We Are All One. It is our philosophy, so it's a perfect song for us to do each week. If you know the words, sing it loud and sing it proud, because you can't bother anybody, right?
We are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it. I hear it and know it, my being. Spirit is all I am seeing. For God is all there is. Grateful am I to be living, open to what I receive, honoring what I've been given, sharing now what I believe. I remember the oneness around me. I surrender to infinite light, knowing the love that's surrounding me is within me by day and night. And we are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it. Yes, we are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it.
So if you're just joined, say hello, hi, good morning, however you would like to let us know you're here. When we're in a facility, we can see who's here, and it's kind of nice to know. But with this software, we don't get to know. So if you could please do that, say hi, hello, good morning, and Faith will answer you. If you like something you hear, whether that's something I say or God says through me, or something Faith sings, or the prayer that Oz does, if you like it, do the thumbs up. We like getting those. And also, if you love something that you hear, please send us hearts. We love getting love. And if I am really on target and something is real powerful to you, there's the wow button. Because that tells me that I'm on track, right? It tells me that I'm, I'm saying the right things at the right time to inspire somebody. So anyway, all right. So without further ado, here is Faith singing a Reverend Fairy Elaine Silver song. I can't remember the name of it, but whatever.
This thing called life. What is this thing called life? What is this thing called life? Reuniting with the source, conscious of a sacred course, miracles abounding every day. Trusting faith to pave the way. Trusting faith to pave the way. Is this thing called life? What is this thing called life? Awareness in our consciousness, using thought to bring success, manifesting with the one. The gentle breeze of spirit has begun. The gentle breeze of spirit has begun. What is this thing called life? What is this thing called life? Defining with intelligence, lessons come from every sense, radiating with one mind. Exalted joy and beauty now are mine. Exalted joy and beauty now are mine. What is this thing called life? What is this thing called life? What is this thing called life? What is this thing called life?
Thank you, Faith. That was great.
Thank
I love Reverend Fairy Elaine Silver has been in our movement for a really long time. And a lot of her songs are based on our teachings, which I really love. It's funny because how I met her was she, her assistant called us and said, we'd like to have her come sing at your church. And when they told me how much, I said, well, we really can't afford that. We were a small church, and I think she wanted something like $150. And we were at that time paying $25 a week for our song, our soloist. So I said, I'm sorry, we just can't do that. And about a month later, I get this phone call from her. Hey, I'm in town. I need to know the directions to your church so I can sing. And I'm like, didn't your assistant tell you? And she said, no. She said, well, I'm doing this opening at this bookstore. Why don't you come down and let's see what we can do? And so I'm sitting there listening to her sing these songs, and I'm thinking, oh my God, she's worth it. I've got to get her in there. I'll pay her personally just to get her in there. So what we designed was the coolest service ever. I would get up and say something for like 5 minutes. She would sing a song based on what I just said. And then Lynn would get up and he would do a sermon based on what she just sang. And then I would get up and do another little mini sermon. It was just awesome. We sold like 35 CDs of the service that day, the most we've ever sold. And we've remained friends all these years. This was like 20 years ago that she was there. So we've remained friends all this time. She's in Florida in the wintertime, she's in Florida. Most people leave in the summertime. She goes back to New Jersey in the summertime. But anyway, so that's the Fairy Elaine story. The Reverend, she is now a Reverend, Reverend Fairy Elaine Silver. That's the story. So as I said earlier, we are going back to basics. This is a great way for people who are new to this philosophy to really get what it is that we teach. And it's great for the veterans because we deepen into the philosophy the more we listen and participate. The Tai Chi masters only do 7 moves their entire life, and they just keep deepening into those 7 moves. And so this is our way of doing this. We do it twice a year. January, because we usually start out, actually I try to do it, we start out in February with classes, and then usually in August I do it so that September we start classes again. And it's a great way for people to get an idea if they want to join a class. So it is the first 4 chapters of our textbook, the thing itself, which is what we're going to do today, the way it works, what it does, and how to use it. Really practical. And our movement is Centers for Spiritual Living. It used to be religious science, but we got really tired of doing the non-dairy version of what we are. No, we're not Christian Science. No, we are not Scientology, that whole thing. And so we have changed our name to Centers for Spiritual Living because it's a lot easier for people to understand and relate to. And we don't have to do the whole explanation of what we are not. I like that. I like being able to explain what we are. Our teaching is the science of mind. And we are part of the New Thought movement. Now, the New Thought movement, really not New Age. I want to clarify that. Again, non-dairy version. The New Thought movement is part of a triad of teachings. One is divine science, which we still have the original church here in Colorado. The other is the Unity School of Christianity, the Fillmores. And they're more Bible-based than we are, but they are part of the New Thought movement. And then there's religious science, which is what we are, I guess, whatever. And so those teachings make up the basis for the New Thought movement. And a new thought just means that when we say New Thought movement, it's because it's a new way of thinking in terms of religion and philosophy and that kind of stuff. And our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, had a great passion to discover and teach the shared principles underlying all the religions and the world's spiritual paths. He believed that the universal spiritual principles expressing through the teaching reunite us in that transformational process and the healing powers within us, and then return us to a higher path of destiny. He reminded us to be open at the top because the divine is continuing to unfold more inspiration to us as we evolve. As we are open at the top, we also stand on basic principles. Now, being open at the top doesn't mean that that any new philosophy that shows up, we go, oh yeah, let's incorporate that. It doesn't mean that. What it does mean is that we are open at the top to new revelations of these same core principles, that we deepen into those by remaining open at the top. We don't close off to, oh, that's the teaching and that's it, And so he actually did his work from like 1919 through 1960, but the principles that he taught are even more powerful today than they were then. He created an institute for religious science, and he, the idea was whatever faith you were in, you would come and study spiritual law. and then take it back to the faith that you came from. Now, a lot of faiths didn't appreciate that. A lot of faiths did not incorporate anything that he taught. And eventually his followers said, hey, we need a church situation instead of just a teaching situation. And that was really his whole thing, was going around teaching. He was raised learning about Ralph Waldo Emerson and incorporated the Oversoul as the way of, that's one of his essays. The Oversoul was the idea that there was a Godhead, and that we are all part of that. Ralph Waldo Emerson was a transcendentalist, and that was Dr. Ernest Holmes' first foray into spirituality, really. And then he found the workings of Judge Thomas Troward, who was an English judge in India and was beloved by the Indian people because he studied their religion and their culture. And when he handed down a sentence, he took all of that into consideration. So they just adored him. But what he got as a result of studying his own Christianity and then studying the Hindu faith was he realized that there were certain spiritual principles that were the same. And so he started writing about spiritual laws and how they work in the universe. When Ernest Holmes found that he began speaking all over the United States on the works of Thomas Troward. And then he met a woman named Emma Curtis Hopkins, who had studied with Mary Baker Eddy, Christian Science. You know, there's a difference between us and Christian Science. Christian Science doesn't believe in doctors. We believe in a pill and a prayer because we think that God works through the doctor's hands as much as it does through the prayer. So we're not as severe as Christian Science is. What we are is the correlation of the spiritual laws in the universe, the scientific method, and religion. So with that correlation, you get a scientific proof that what we are saying works, and you test it yourself, kind of a laboratory effect, laboratory process. You prove it through the scientific method that what you believe in is true. So it's not blind faith. It is absolutely provable by you to yourself. And that's why we're so passionate about our courses where we get to do the deeper work. Because once he found Emma Curtis Hopkins, who broke off from Mary Baker Eddy and started teaching mysticism, he had both love and law. So he teaches, or we teach now because of him, that God is love and law, that the spiritual laws in the universe are important to the process of us developing spiritually. And the love of God is important for us to feel so that we know that we are loved beyond any human understanding. Not like people love, but like God loves us. Okay. And so we have this divine encoding within us. If you look at an acorn, if you dissect the acorn, it has a divine encoding because it knows when to grow, when to blossom, and when to seed and become an oak tree, right? The embryo, the human embryo, could care less about the past and knows nothing of the future, but it has the encoding in it to create a human that grows automatically. There's nothing we need to do to intercede on the behalf of that embryo to make it grow better, right? And divine energy that created worlds constantly is waiting for our recognition and invitation to co-create with us. And that's where we come from as far as God. God is that energy, that divine energy that created worlds. And it is constantly waiting for recognition and an invitation to co-create with us. And even in the apparent absence of fill in the blank, whatever it is, even in the apparent absence of love, principle tells us there's nothing but love. And even in the apparent absence of peace, it says there is nothing but peace. You see, no matter what the appearance is, we know that the truth, that the spiritual truth, the God truth that lives within us is peace, love, prosperity, health. We have a divine blueprint that our DNA is set to be healthy. And through whatever processes that happen, when we become unhealthy or have dis-ease, we need to go back to that spiritual principle that we were created to be perfect, perfectly healthy, perfectly loved, perfectly abundant and prosperous, you see. There's a quote from Ernest Holmes that I just love. This original life is infinite. It is good. It is filled with peace. It is the essence of purity. It is the ultimate of intelligence. It is power. It is law. It is life. It is in us. In that inner sanctuary of our own nature, hidden perhaps from our objective gaze, nestles the seed perfection. Dr. Ernest Holmes was famous for grabbing a quote and using it without giving credit to the author. So a friend of mine, one of our ministers, said that it came from Walt Whitman. In this broad earth of ours, amid the measureless grossness and the slag, just oof, enclosed and safe within its central hearth, nestles the seed perfection. That's from The Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. And so again, this quote from Ernest Holmes says, in that inner sanctuary of our own nature, hidden perhaps from our objective gaze, nestles the seed perfection. So he read this quote from Walt Whitman and gave it his own twist and used it. It's very important that we remember that we have that divine implant, so to speak, the seed perfection. Have you ever wondered or ever pondered infinite? I mean, think about that, because he talks about infinite in there. He says, well, maybe not. Oh, yeah, this original life is infinite. And so infinite is good, filled with peace, essence of purity, immensity of power. Infinite, meaning no beginning, no end, infinite. And regardless of our story, the divine embedded in us, hidden perhaps from our objective gaze, the lens with which we view ourselves needs a lot of work because we have a story, you see. And the story doesn't usually include God's presence within us. In this broad earth of ours, oh, I already read that. That was Walt Whitman. Sorry. I'm not following my notes here. So when we look at Genesis from the Bible, we're not really a Bible-based teaching, only because when you look at the Bible, there were so many authors that got involved. And of course, then there was the council that edited out what they thought should be there and took out what they thought shouldn't be there. And when you look at it, you can see very plainly that there are stories in there. There are stories in there where on one page, for instance, you see that because of the nakedness, Adam and Eve were trying to hide themselves from God. And then on the very next page, you see, God is all knowing, all seeing, all, so you can't hide from God, right? And so take Noah's Ark as another example. On one page, it's 2 by 2 they came. And on the next page, it's in groups of 10 they came. So there's all these things in the Bible that contradict each other. And so a long time ago, there was, they called it the Jesus Convention. There were 20 scholars. And it took them 20 years, and they went through every single sentence that they believed, or that we say that Jesus said. And they each put a rock in the middle or a marble in the middle, and then they voted. So like black was, no, he didn't say that. You got to remember the Bible was written 50 years after his death. So everything is interpreted through, have you ever played telephone secretary? Yeah, And by the time it reaches the end of the line, it's nothing like what this person said. And so this Jesus Convention got together and they would put a marble in. Black was for, no, he didn't say that. Red, I believe, was maybe he said that, and the white was actually what he said. And they came up with only 7 statements from the Bible that they believe that he actually said. That was what they voted on, 20 scholars, you know. So anyway, so we don't teach a lot of Bible, but we use the Bible metaphysically because we believe it's a story that conveys a message to us. For instance, in Genesis, Abraham means father. The name Abraham means father. And Sarah means nobility. So when you marry the nobility to the father, I'm not sure what that is. Okay. When you marry father and nobility, then Isaac, his name means joy. When you marry those two, you get joy. When we marry, our remembrance of our God nature, our human presence becomes noble. And we celebrate the personal nobility, so we constantly give birth to joy. So you remember in the Bible that God called to Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. And so we interpret that metaphysically as not that God wanted us to sacrifice joy itself, but the label of joy. You know, our degrees, our awards, you know, the things that are ego driven. God calls on us to sacrifice our ego. He says, hold on, I want you to keep your joy, but sacrifice your ego. And we sacrifice on the altar wanting to control the way things look, you see, because we really do try to control everything. We're so funny, we human doings. I call us human doings because I know there's a spiritual being within us. And the human doing here on earth performs the actions. For instance, you know, I'm an ordained minister, but I believe I was ordained by God long ago. And going through the process and the paperwork was me being a human doing, filling out papers. You see what I'm saying? Like the ordination took place already in my heart and my mind and my soul and my spirit because God ordained me. And this organization that I'm an ordained minister of provided the certificate for that process. And so what I really believe about all of this is our willingness to sacrifice controlling the way things look is what God meant by sacrificing Isaac. So it's important for us to know that there is a rhythm to the universe. There is a rhythm that is inescapable. When we are experiencing the ebb of uncertainty, that which we need for the next evolution of expression is just on the horizon and coming to us. Unfortunately, we get fixated on the ebb when we've forgotten our divine identity. You know, we may not be able to see it. So we're focused on that ebb instead of the flow. When you look at life, you see flow everywhere. It's in everything. That's because God flows through it all. And the truth about God is that flow, not the ebb. The ebb is just that precipice that we are at right before our next evolution of expression, you see. The universe has a pulse. This is from Sonia Choquette, I think. Choquette. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. The universe has a pulse and rhythm of its own, and it wants to carry you with it. So if you dance with spirit, just remember to let it lead. For some of us, letting someone else lead is very difficult. Lynn and I, one time, several years ago, took dancing lessons, and it was so hard for me to let go and let him lead. Honest to God, I don't know what the block was, but I just could not give up that control. I finally was able to do that with one of the instructors, not all of them, but some of the instructors. I was able to let go and let them lead me. And I had an aha in that moment about God, because I realized that I needed to let God lead, that I couldn't control all of that, you see. And that doesn't mean that God makes decisions for us. Please understand that it's not like, if I want to be a writer, God isn't going to step in and say, no, you need to be a hash waitress in Kansas. That's not going to happen. We set the mold by claiming our intention for the greater life that we want to experience, and God fills that in. So like, it's like a, cookie cutter or something. I'm the cookie cutter. I say what the form looks like, and God fills in the batter and creates what it is that my heart longs for. And so when you dance with Spirit, just remember to let it lead. That's the focus of this, is that we have a tendency to be afraid to let God lead, because we think that God is going to go contrary to what our heart is urging us to do. And that is just simply not true. When we are ready and when we are willing, that which wants to come through us, the genius inside of us that wants to be expressed, and we are available, there is no stopping what will happen. That's really important to remember. If I have an urge within me to say, become a minister, here's a perfect example, then no matter what I did and said, that was going to happen regardless, because there was an urge within me that I believe was God within me that was saying, this is your path. This is what you need to be doing. This is how you're going to express that divine essence that is within you, that genius that lives within you. How I became a minister was really interesting. I was taking classes at Mile High Church, and this lady came in and she was talking about a class that was open to the public. And I thought, well, that sounds so interesting. I want to take that class. Oh, and that class too. And maybe that class. So I called the school of ministry, and Denise, who was the registrar at that time, was busy doing something. I don't know. And she said, just a minute. And I was like, okay. So I'm like, keeping myself busy, got my left brain out of the way. And she picks up the phone and says, how can I help you? And I said, I want to be a minister. That was the first time that came out of my mouth. That was the first time I ever thought that thought. And it was so overwhelming, I couldn't speak for a while. And she kept saying, are you there? Hello? Are you there? And I stumbled through saying, there's classes I want to take. But it was a shock to me, and I resisted it for quite a while. But there was an urge within me to do that, and I couldn't deny it. Yes, I have choice. I mean, we are born with free will. So yes, I had a choice. But the choice that I had was either to keep resisting and my life would be uncomfortable, or to give in to that. And like I said, I had to learn to lead or to be led, to learn to let God lead me. And so in that moment when I'm dancing with this instructor and I finally feel that feeling of letting go and allowing this instructor to lead me, excuse me, I had that aha moment. That is really what the process is. It's not a surrender like I give up. It's a surrender to that higher self of you, that essence that lives within you. See, we believe that God is a divine intelligence that works through us. We don't teach that God is a woman or a man, because I believe, this is my personal belief, I believe that when we decide God is a man or even a woman, what we have done is we have made God in the image and likeness of us, instead of remembering that we are made in the image and likeness of God. What does that mean, being in the image and likeness of God? It means that we are endowed with the power of God within us to do that which ought to be done by us. And so when I say that God is within us, there is no personality to it. There's no one to choose one person over another. There is no one to grant gifts to one and take away from another. You see what I'm saying? And so God is simply, to me, is an it. I say it because it's a divine intelligence. And quantum physics backs that up. Quantum physics says there is an intelligence in the universe that knows how to create things, that knows how to create of itself. Now, what we believe is that everything in the world is made up of molecules. And these molecules are what we call God stuff. The rate at which they bump up against each other is the rate at which it creates either a solid object, or a medium rate would create a human, or a very slow rate would create something like air or water, you see. But it's all the same substance. And of course, quantum physics doesn't say there's a divine intelligence. It just says there's an intelligence that knows how to make things, that knows how to create. We call that a divine intelligence. We call that God. So the thing itself is God, and it works through us. God cannot do anything for us that it cannot do through us. And so that's what we need to remember, that the process is working through us because we are made of God. And you wouldn't tell God you don't deserve prosperity, or you don't deserve love, or you don't deserve health. We would never think of saying that to God. And yet what we're made of is God, but we tell ourselves that same thing. You don't deserve prosperity. You don't deserve love. You don't deserve health. And unfortunately, we believe ourselves. And so I want to give you an overview of what we're going to do. Come on. The way it works. Real quickly, by using our teaching symbol to explain how creation happens. So this is our teaching symbol. It has the unbroken unity, no beginning, no end. There is only one. You see that it sort of looks like it's divided into three parts, although you can't part out God. But the top part of it is the conscious mind. So as God thinks into being, it uses this middle portion, which is where all the molecules are, which is where the stuff of the universe, the creative substance, is made. So God has this conscious idea about what it wants to create, and it creates through this medium like a soil that you plant a seed in. And this bottom part here is the form that it takes. Now you notice that it comes from conscious mind, moves through that subjective mind into form, and then returns back to the nothingness from which it came. If you think about how flowers work, that's exactly how it works. You plant the seed, which is the conscious mind, in the soil, which is the subjective mind, and it produces a flower in the bottom. And then at the end of the season, those flowers return back to the nothingness from which they came, you see? And so that's the same way it works in our life. Now, I'm going to go through this more next week, but right now I just want to give you a quick overview of what it is that we teach. We teach that we each have a conscious mind, a subjective mind, and an actual physical reality, okay? So the conscious mind is where we think into being those things. Like if you're doing affirmations, or you're doing visioning, or you're doing visualization, you are utilizing this conscious mind. Now, in the middle is our subjective mind, as I've talked before, that everything that has ever happened to us and our reactions to it are stored there like a big computer disk, okay? And so our beliefs are formed there. So if you have a conscious idea of something you want to create, and you have something in that subjective mind that is going to reject it, it's obviously not going to make it down here to the physical form. It's going to be rejected right here in the middle and back up to the nothingness from which it came. We also, in the subjective mind, have these beliefs that are automatic, like when you learned how to drive. First, you had to remember, put your foot on the brake, put your foot on the gas, look in the mirror, turn on the turn signal. All of these things were things you had to think about. It became an automatic thing when it hit the subjective mind and created an automatic response. Well, that's what happens to us a lot. So we have all these things that are there in that subjective mind that are creating form without even coming through the conscious mind and then returning back into the nothingness. And so what's important to note is that we are going to be working with that subjective material all the time to limit the beliefs that limit us. You see, try to take away their power. All right, so that is the process of creation in a nutshell, as we believe it. So I want you this week to focus on how God works in your world. Remember that you are made of God, and God is perfect, right? There's no imperfect God. There can't be. And so because you are made of that God substance, that divine intelligence running through you, you're perfect just as you are. There is nothing that you have to earn. There is nothing that you have to work toward or strive for, because it is all contained within you already. It is only those beliefs that stick in your subjective mind that are kicking it back so it doesn't happen, you see? So this week, please, remember who you are. Remember your divinity. Remember that God can only do for you what it can do through you. And you become that open channel through which God creates. Remember to let God lead. God's not going to change up on you and do something you don't want. So just surrender to it. It's not giving in, it is surrendering. It is surrendering the need for control. Because when you know that God is all you are and God is flowing through you, you know that whatever is urging you to be greater within you is going to fulfill that in you. And that's what you are surrendering to. Let's have a prayer. I now move my awareness to that infinite power, that infinite presence of God, to that place within me that knows beyond human understanding just how powerful God is. For God is simply all there ever has been, all there ever will be, and all there is right here, right now. And so that is where I find myself, in the midst of God. My very essence, my very life, my very being. It is who... Hey! Hey! Sorry. I apologize for that. My bird just bit one of my dogs. So I'm going to start over. Right now, I just turn my awareness to the infinite power, the infinite presence of God, to that place within me beyond human understanding, to know just how powerful God is in and through all of life. God is simply all there ever has been, all there ever will be, and all there is right now. Only God. And that infinite power, that infinite presence is where I find myself, in the midst of God. My very essence, my very life, my very being. It is who and what I am. And every thought, every action, every deed is guided and led by that one infinite power and presence within. That wisdom of the ages that leads me. I know this same truth to be so for this team that I have the honor and privilege to manage for God. That for Faith and for Oz and for Tina and for Lynn, we are all one. We are the actors performing the actions for God's message to get into the world. And we are one. One body, one life, one love, one God. I know that same truth to be so for all the animals in my household, that God flows through perfectly, even when it doesn't seem like it does. I know the same truth to be so for each person who is watching this, whether that be in real time or later on. There is only one life, one love, one being. There is no place where one leaves off and the other begins. There is only the one. We move with one voice, one body, one life. Matakyo Yasin, we are all one. So I bless this coming week with an awareness of just how present God is in everything that we think, say, and do. That underneath all conditions, God resides, the truth of God resides. And that the focus on that is what pulls us through to a better and greater reality. So this week, we let God lead and we follow. And we open ourselves to that greater reality. To that bigger picture that God is. Letting it flow through us easily and effortlessly, without barriers to its lead. We just surrender all of the need to control, or the actual fallacy that we can control anything. We understand God's intent to fulfill a greater reality that is what is in our heart to live. I know this truth to be so for every name that is in the ministry of prayer today, because I do know that whatever condition they are experiencing, God's essence, God's life, God's force is underlying that. And I pull it forward right now. I lift the veil and claim it for them in their name as good and very good. And so I give thanks that this is so now, to be of service in this way. My heart just fills with gratitude as I just let this be. And so it is. I do apologize for that interruption. I couldn't let Daisy get hurt. I mean, like, he bit her, so she, he doesn't ever draw blood, but he just strikes, and then he's all proud of himself and walks away. But I heard her yell, so I apologize. Sometimes you just gotta take care of business, Okay, so right now is our opportunity to receive your gifts, tithes, and offerings, and your opportunity to express your gratitude for that which you have already received and is in physical form, and that which you have created in the mind of God through that process we talked about, but you may not see it in physical form yet. And if you're watching this later, you can participate with us exactly the same way. Please go to oasiscsl.org, and about 2/3 down the page, you're going to see our offering affirmation and then the Contribute Now button. I don't call it a donation, because I think of a donation as a one-time thing where you donate clothes or you donate to a political organization or something like that. But I think of it as a contribution to God's message getting to the world, because it does cost money. We have to market, and it does cost money for that message to get out. So please go to oasiscsl.org. And like I said, about 2/3 of the way down the page is the offering affirmation. Please say that with me now. This perfect gift is spirit in form, circulating and blessing all it touches. Freely I give, and joyously I receive. And so it is. Hit that contribute now button and contribute to God's message getting out in the world. Okay. We have this wonderful team of licensed practitioners from coast to coast. I love being able to say that. It's just awesome. We're global. Those practitioners, well, first of all, let me tell you that Oz is available for what we call our 1-minute miracle. It's not a time for counseling, but it is a time where you can share whatever situation you're experiencing, and he will stop, drop, and pray with you right then and there. He is part of our God Squad. That's what we call our licensed practitioners. We have this wonderful team, like I said, that is available by appointment for a fee for spiritual guidance. And you can contact them through our website or through Facebook. And you reach out to them. They'll let you know how to make a payment, either by Cash App or PayPal or Venmo, something like that. Every practitioner has their own way to do that. But you reach out to them, make that payment, make an appointment, and then they will reach out to you by video chat later. Oz is available by video chat today. And if he doesn't answer right away, know he's on the phone with someone else and we'll be right with you, or you can call back. But that's our God Squad. If you would like prayer this week, please know that our practitioners will pray, our God Squad will pray on those requests every day for a week. And so you type it in the comment section, or if you don't want it to be public, you can message one of us, and Faith will make sure that it gets on the private group page for Facebook that only the God Squad has access to. And if you would like to serve on our God Squad, you don't necessarily have to be a licensed practitioner. You do have to do affirmative prayer and be committed to doing that every day for a week, and keep those requests confidential. So if you would like to participate in that, say yes in the comment field, and she'll get you added to the God Squad. And if you would like to have be part of our online community, type more, and she will put you on our public-facing group page for Facebook. I post things there before I post them anywhere else, so you get the news easier or quicker than anybody else. All right, we are going to be starting. I don't have the details today, but we will be starting the first week in September our classes, and the foundations class is going to be $30 per class. You can pay for $30 each class for up until the 5th class. Now, the 5th class, we like for you to pay for the rest of the class, and that it's a 10-week class. So you're paying half in $30 increments, and then you pay the balance on the 5th class, and that just helps us. You know, it helps you to be able to see if you're going to enjoy the classes and you want to finish. It helps us in budgeting, so we know what we have. So anyway, there's that. Bracelets. Let's see here. I have bracelets and mala beads from Brooks and Bailey. All the proceeds go to Rocky Mountain Lab Rescue. You reach out to her through Brooks and Bailey 0307@gmail. I don't know if you can see this clasp. It's pretty cool. I like this clasp. It's like a little bar that you put through a circle. It stays on better than anything I've ever had. And then Faith.
And then this is the Mystic Brew. Right now we do have 35% off all purchases until the 10th. So go get yours today. It has been on social media. So make sure you're also checking our stories. And then we also add some new product for you. And you can now create your own intention jar for cheaper than one made for you.
Okay, thank you. And so this is the intention jar she made for me, and these are $15. This is for prosperity. We have a new announcement today that is a product that enhances this. This is Angel Renee. Wow, that's so small. Angel Renee does intention candles and intention tea bath bags. So you just stick it in the bath water and focus on your intention while you're there. It's $25 for the candles. And was it $15, Faith, for the tea bags? I think.
10 or 15, one of the two.
Yeah. Since it's brand new, she's got an Etsy store, and we have that in the comments section. So you can reach out and buy those from her. All right. And then Fairy Elaine Silver, Reverend Fairy Elaine Silver's music is available on her website. She travels around the country, so you will, she's singing, so you will have to reach out to her. She can't change her website for a Cash App or Venmo or something. And so you have to reach out by email to find out how to send payment to her. And then Karen Drucker, who has gifted us with her entire collection. We like to support those that support us. Her website does work. You can buy it by the song, by the CD, songbook. Some of the songs in the songbook have American Sign Language. So please buy some of the stuff. They are both very talented artists, and they both contribute a lot to our community. So we really appreciate it that you reach out to them. All right. So, and then check out our website, www.oasiscsl.org. You find there information about us. There's pictures of past events that we've had, like picnics and that sort of thing. One of these days, maybe we'll be able to do those again. There's information about our practitioners on there. And there are sermons, video sermons of the last year and a half, and audio sermons from years gone by. We're also on YouTube, and we're on Soundtown. YouTube has the videos, and Soundtown has the audio files. And again, and that's S. Tucker, by the way. I don't know. And so you can reach out and get that information there, or you can come to our website and watch it, although I'm not as current as I'd like to be on the current sermons. So I'm still working on it, I promise you. It's just that my life has been a little hectic lately. So I'm getting there. Like I said, it's hard for me to do all of this stuff and have this other business as well. So I'm working on it, I promise. All right. This next song is I Am So Blessed by Karen Drucker. It's a great meme to get stuck in your head. So sing it loud and sing it proud.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And And I know the presence of God right here, right now, is in all things and in each of us. And we carry that with us through our days and through our weeks. I know that when we get together again, we'll go through the next step of the learning process, the basics. But today, I know this blessing is right here, right now, for each one of you. I give thanks that that is so, and I let it be. And so it is.
And so it is. All right. Thank you for being here. I know there's 1,000 places you could be on a Sunday morning, and I'm glad you are here with us today. And wear a mask, stay safe, get vaccinated, and make sure you're here at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time next week and every week. We always have good stuff for you. So we'll see you then. Bye. We love you.